Thank you for joining today's very special Hangout on Air from Suntico for companies that use Sage 50 accounting software. This is the 23rd Hangout on Air from Suntico for companies that use Sage 50. And today we're looking at how manufacturing and distribution companies might provide mobile sales support for their independent sales reps. My name's Hugh Johnson. I'm Head of Business Development at Suntico. And if you'd like to get in touch with me after this Hangout on Air, please do so via the normal social channels or by email at hugh.johnson@suntico.com. On the agenda today, we will look at the life of an independent sales rep and what that means in terms of the information that they need in order to represent your brand well. And actually, as implied by this slide, it does mean access to transactional information that resides within your Sage 50 system. And we'll discuss how to provide that safely and securely to your independent reps. And of course, we'll go on to take a quick look at how Suntico can help address that problem and that requirement. And finally, a quick look at what our customers have to say about it. So without further ado, let's go on and take a look at the life of an independent rep. Well, the first point to note, if you're not already using independent reps to represent your brand, certainly in the United States, this is very common. And it's particularly common among small to medium-sized manufacturing companies that are very keen to get their products out onto the shelves. In fact, in the States today, there are approximately 150,000 independent reps, each representing about 10 manufacturers. And in fact, around about 50% of all US manufacturing companies, particularly the smaller ones, do use independent reps, and it accounts for approximately 11% of total manufacturing sales. So if you're not already using independent reps, perhaps it's something you should be thinking about, or you are already thinking about. Now, the one thing I'd like you to think about, or to bear in mind, is that independent reps are professional people that work long hours, represent about 10 different brands. You're just one of them, and they are short on time. So time is their currency. So if you can do things for them that saves them time and helps them be more professional, they will like you and they will support your brand more. If you get in their way, they will focus on the other 9 brands that they're representing. It's as simple as that. So in that context, there are really 3 things that I'd like you to think about. The first is that many manufacturers attempted to deliver, I suppose, what you might call a conventional CRM system into the hands of their independent reps. Unfortunately, the thinking on this is usually misguided, because the thinking on this is usually to support head office reporting in terms of what the reps are up to. A consequence of that is that it usually adds an additional burden onto the rep and his time, and therefore is not welcomed by the independent rep. However, what the rep does need is deep transactional information about what's going on with the key accounts that they're looking after. Are there any orders outstanding? What items are on back order? What items has this customer ordered before? How long is it since the customer previously ordered? What different customers of mine have ordered different products? So this deep transactional context is very important for the independent rep. And that is information that comes from your Sage 50 system. But equally important are the discussions around this transactional information. Because as you know and I know, an awful lot of the valuable information in a business is in those discussions, the phone calls, the notes, the emails. Now, the problem for an independent rep is delivering that information to them. Their time window in terms of when they can contact your office may be short. There may be limited time, it may be the end of day when they want to make contact. An email is very slow. By the time they get a response, it might be the next day. Or finding information that maybe replied to them a week ago is very hard if we're talking about notes and emails and so on. So a way in which you can gather these discussions together into a single place would be extremely useful for the independent rep. But before we get onto that, let's just take a look at what we mean from the point of view of delivering Sage 50 information to them. And of course, the thing that people need to bear in mind is that while the rep wants deep transactional information, you only want to deliver the information to that rep pertaining to the customers that the rep is dealing with. And that's exactly what we facilitate here within Suntico. So I'm just explaining here on this slide the hierarchy of how we provide account level access to your Sage 50 data. And it kind of starts with companies, because Suntico is a multi-company system. So in the case where you're operating with multiple companies, and maybe even you have reps straddling those multiple companies, you can still use Suntico to share information from any number of your companies with those independent reps, or block information from those companies. Within a company, if we drill down to the account level, you can choose to share with your users of Suntico, and your independent reps can be a certain class of those users. You can choose to share all of your accounts information, or just your customers, or just your vendors, or just the accounts that are specifically nominated against that rep, which is the most likely scenario with an independent rep. Or if you've got a manager looking after a team of reps, you may also provide access to an account team and all the accounts that belong within that team. And equally, we can define an account an account territory, which is a collection of accounts. And that can be very useful. It's a subtle thing, but it can be very useful if you've got a rep that perhaps is straddling the borders of two states, and notionally he's kind of in one team, but for convenience you also have him looking after one or two accounts in the bordering state. And firstly, I'm logged on here to Suntico, to a fictitious company called Bellwether Garden Supply, as Dolores Flowers and the administrator of the Suntico account. And just a quick tour. What we can see here is within Suntico, it's a cloud-based system, a web-based system, and I can pull all the information that I have within my Sage 50 system up into this cloud-based system, and I can see it there. I can see all the accounts, all the contacts, the addresses. I add additional events and tasks around that. I can look at the sales information, the sales orders, the sales invoices, the purchase information. As administrator of the account, I've got full access to it, to everything within that. But if I want to deliver this information to my independent reps, I can do that through tight control of my user management. So I'm just going to show you a quick example of a user we have called Derek Gross, who's an independent rep, and I can just show you the kind of level of detail that we can get into here. Okay, and this is a profile that I've defined within the system, and that defines what information he can see within Suntico, and therefore what Sage 50 information he can get access to. This is what I was talking about earlier. So I've got multiple companies here that are synchronized with Suntico, and I'm just granting Derek access to one of my companies here, and I'm not allowing him access to all accounts. I could change that by just flicking the switch there, but I'm not going to. Okay, all I've done is I've granted Derek access to his own accounts. So what that means is actually within Sage 50, Derek will be set up as the representative for particular accounts, and automatically that's pushed through into Bellwether, into Suntico. So when Derek logs on, Derek can only see his accounts, and he can't see any other accounts within the system. If I wanted to broaden that and give him access to the accounts within a whole team, I can do so here, but that's within my control as the administrator of the system. So just to give you context, and what we can see is a total of 81 account records there, a mixture of customers and vendors actually, although just on this page we're only looking at customers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip over to look at Derek Gross's view of life. And here we've gone full screen, but that's convenient just for the demonstration. And here we have, because I've just reset his settings and relogged on, Derek has access to just 8 accounts, which are the nominated accounts that he has set up within Sage for him. And he can drill down and he can pull up the full history against each account, all the orders, all the invoices, plus also any outstanding back order items that there might be. If we look at an order that's in process there, we can drill down, see the detail, see the items that are on back order and what the customer is still waiting for. But just as important, what I can also see are the discussions. So I can see the discussions relating to a particular account just by drilling down to what we call the wall of an account, which is rather like a kind of Facebook timeline. Or I can go to my wall, where, because I'm following all of my 8 accounts as Derek Gross, any updates, any comments, any discussions to do with any of my accounts are automatically fed up into this wall, and I can kind of live there within my wall, and I can add notes, and I can just reference a particular account. So landscaping will place a large order, or whatever I want to say, okay, and share that, and that'll go back to the company. And what that does is it keeps all of these notes and records together instead of getting them buried and lost in emails or voicemails or voice messages. So that's a very quick look at Suntico. What we haven't had time to do is share with you all of the details, but you can visit certainly please do visit our website. In fact, if you go to our website and fill out the form there that says try out our demo, you can get full access to the demo that I've just been showing you and try it for yourself. I'd like to thank you for your time, and please join us in 2 weeks' time for our next Hangout on Air.